The aim of life is self-development, to realize one's true nature perfectly. And that is what each of us is here for. That was said by Sir Henry Wotton in Oscar Wilde's A Picture of Dorian Gray. About a Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, I've noticed a rise recently in self-help or self-development literature. There seems to be more focus on the topic of mastery. Perhaps most notable among them would be Malcolm Gladwell, who has been attributed the quote of saying that it takes approximately 10,000 hours to become a master in any field, whether that's being a lawyer or being a pianist or whatever it is that you're pursuing, give or take. It's going to take you about 10,000 hours. When I first read that, that seemed, yeah, let's look at it. That's quite a few. That's 6 or 7 years, I think, on full-time work, fully focusing on one thing. I realized recently that I'm hitting about the 10,000 hour mark in my field, which is business development. I am nowhere near being a master at business development. So now I'm questioning this. I'm suspect that maybe either I'm doing it very wrong, or Malcolm Gladwell maybe should have. Maybe he's just smart than all of us. And really, but I'm thinking 25,000 hours, maybe 50,000 hours, a little bit more appropriate. In any case, this topic of mastery got me thinking about what I've done about 10,000 hours, but I'm not a master, so where am I at? What stage am I at? So I began thinking of, you're not a layman and then you're a master suddenly when you just hit that 10,000 hour mark. So what are the stages of personal development? Of course, it's going to be different for everyone. Different circumstances, different people, everyone's different. And not all of us are on the pursuit or mission of becoming a master. I think a lot of us in this room maybe are. We seem to be a self-development focused group because we're here trying to develop our personal skills. But in any case, it got me thinking, I'm not there yet, where am I at? So tonight I'm going to share with you where I think I'm at, what I think the 5 stages of my professional development have been in the last 5 years or so as a budding entrepreneur. So jumping right into that, the 5 stages that I've defined for myself are oblivious excitement, stage 1. Stage 2 was frantic frustration. Stage 3 was hard-earned relief. Stage 4 was unbridled optimism. And stage 5, which is where I currently reside, or at least I think I do, which is tranquil realism, parentheses, hopefully. Because who knows if that's actually where I'm at or not. Time will tell. So, oblivious excitement. So some of you know I own and run a chain of gourmet popcorn stores. When we first, or rather before we began the business, I jumped into it with what can only be described as oblivious excitement. I didn't know the sheer quantity of things that I didn't know. I was about to find out. I was also very excited because there was one thing I knew, and that was I was going to be rich. Take it back, I knew 2 things. I was going to be rich, and it was going to be easy. Oblivious, right? Thus began stage 2 of my professional development, which I'm calling frantic frustration. It's frantic because when you have limited resources, I found myself in this position where I had maybe 100 problems to solve at any given time, and the resources, namely my time, to solve maybe 1 or 2 at a time. Franticness ensues. Frustration, and I have a image I'm going to share with you, an analogy to share with you, to describe how I felt during this period of frantic frustration. Forgive me if it seems a little odd, but I think it'll help get the feeling. So the feeling is, or the image is, imagine you're at home plate on a baseball field, and someone says to you, hey, go run around the bases. And you say, you know what, that sounds like a great idea, I'll go run around the bases. As soon as you take your first step, the guy hits you in the stomach with a baseball bat. Right? Yeah. Frustrating, also painful. But you get up and you start running, and you run around first, and there's someone else, and they hit you with another baseball bat right in the stomach. You get the idea. So this is what this was, about a 2-year period first starting the business. It was very painful, very frustrating, and I think this helps to capture that, how that really that period was for me. This is where, by the way, most businesses fail. They don't get out of the frantic frustration phase. And as you know, a lot of businesses fail in the first, I think it's 4 out of 5 fail in the first 2 years. Well, it's good they don't get out of that stage. Day in and day out, working on all the problems, I finally made it to stage 3, which I'm calling hard-earned relief. Now the resources are there to a certain extent. Maybe I only have 20 problems to solve, and I only have 2 at a time. So things start getting under control. This stage allowed me to get the perspective needed to step back from the business and analyze it in a much more methodical way. And what this did was allow me to have a breakthrough. So we realized our breakthrough happened to be that our popcorn, our business was working in our market, but it could work even better in other markets. And there was a model for which we could do that. It's called the international franchise model. So we could suddenly get our market, our popcorn, into other markets without capital. This is a very big breakthrough for us. Thus began the unbridled optimism phase. So we got a few wins, we sold one, we sold another. Next thing I knew, we had stores in Tokyo, Osaka, we were in Seoul, we were in Cairo, we were in Riyadh, we were in places all around the world. It seemed like we could not fail. It was intoxicating, it was exhilarating. I think intoxicating is the right word because it was like we were getting a little bit drunk off our own success. And when you're drunk, you have poor judgment. So we started having some cases of poor judgment. We entered some territories that maybe we shouldn't have. We allocated resources in ways maybe we shouldn't have. And here I am in the period that's the most exciting, exhilarating period of the business. It turns out it's actually the most dangerous period and stage for businesses when they're growing. And so we were able to identify it, and we got through that period. I'm now in the 5th and probably not final stage of tranquil realism, parentheses, hopefully. I say tranquil realism because I've experienced the highs and the lows, both of which are unsustainable extremes. And I feel like I'm now in a spot where I'm approaching things in a much more calm, cool way. And it feels good. So, the takeaway from this speech is I just encourage everyone to go home, write your journal, write on a piece of paper, ask yourself, what stages have you been through? And I like the idea of stages because it's easier to conceptualize, easier to understand. It can provide meaning to periods of your life which you may have chalked up to failures previously, and say, no, it's just part of the process. My favorite part about this whole process is in stepping back and sort of plotting the stages of your development. You can see where you've been, and so then if you draw a vertical line and say this is where you're at now, it allows you to draw that dotted line out to your trajectory. That trajectory is your future. So if you don't like it, it's time to make some changes. I'm Joseph.